Welcome back, guys, to another video. Today is a bit of a different formatted video because, obviously I don't have stats or anything pulled up. I'm going to kind of do this differently, but I did feel like I had to do a standalone video on the Dallas Cowboys and just the kind of season that Dak is currently having, how that defense is currently performing, and just really all things Cowboys at this point in the season and what that potentially means moving forward into the playoffs. I do want to first start by saying that way back in I think September or I think it was August maybe, I did a video where I ranked every single team and where I thought they would fall going into this season, as far as like, I guess, well, not really going into, I guess at the end of the year where they would be. And I had the Cowboys in the deep playoff run category, which is just below Super Bowl contender, because personally I hadn't seen enough from Dak in the past and just throughout the seasons that really made me feel confident in him moving forward in the postseason. But right now, Dak is on a real tear. He's playing very well, and the biggest thing is he's limiting the turnovers. And so I do want to pull this up for you guys. Dak currently has 2,935 passing yards, 23 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. And I do really want to highlight these 6 interceptions because a lot of the times when Dak has some jokes thrown at him that, I have definitely made in the past too, a lot of it has to do with turnovers. And Dak, at the very beginning of this year, said that he was not going to throw more than, I believe it was 13 or 15 turnovers or interceptions this year. And so far, he's on pace to kind of keep his word on that. And not only that, but he's throwing a lot of touchdowns per game as well. And I want to go specifically back to the win the Cowboys had over the Rams, where they won 43-20. To me, this game was a huge turning point in the Cowboys season. Not that it was much different, because before this game, they were still having a good year. But turning point for Dak, as when he really seemed to kind of hit a whole other level at the kind of level he's already playing at. Because after the Rams game and since then, he's only thrown below 300 yards one time, and that was against the Panthers when, let's be honest, as a Panthers fan, he would have thrown over 300 if he really wanted to. They just didn't really need to do that to beat the Panthers because they are really just that bad. And other than the Panthers, starting from the Rams game and moving up, it was 304 yards, 374 yards, 404 yards, the 189, and the 331 against Washington. Since that Rams game, he only threw 2 interceptions, one against the Rams and one against the Giants, which means even against the Eagles, even though they didn't win that game, Dak threw 3 touchdowns and did not turn the ball over a single time in that game, which to me is really showing just how composed Dak has been throughout this year, despite some of the better defenses that they have played, because they also are in a pretty tough division with them and the Eagles. And I, for one, am very excited for that rematch against the Eagles later on this season. And to me, the turnovers what Dak really needed to kind of start taking care of, because I think that was the big thing that led him to get some of the things thrown at him or the jokes made at him. It kind of had to do with all of his turnovers and or postseason play. But I think at this point in the kind of run Dak is having right now, in my opinion, the Cowboys are one of the most promising teams entering the playoffs. And I just really hope this video does not jinx them. And so I do want to be very clear. This video could be very, very long if I really wanted to kind of break down what each person on this team does. And honestly, like I said, it'd just be too long because there's so many players that contribute to this team on both offense and defense. There are so many playmakers on that defense, and same with the offense. So I just want to be very clear that I'm not going to highlight everyone, and just because I'm not highlighting someone does not mean that I think they aren't having a good year. Just so we're all on the same page there, because I'm not going to go over everybody, because seriously, there are a ton of playmakers on this Cowboys team. And so with that said, the next player I want to highlight on the offense is going to be CeeDee Lamb. And going into this year, I think CD had a lot of hype around him because there was just a lot of promise for him to kind of take that next step and be a wide receiver 1 on a Cowboys team that had a lot of potential. And in my opinion, I think he has definitely lived up to it. I think he started the season pretty slow, but that streak of like, I think 3-ish games where it was just over 150 yards each time. I think there was a time where he had 117 as well in there. CD went on a massive tear during that kind of 4-game span. The past 2 weeks, he's cooled off a little, but even at that, he still found his way to get to the end zone, and I think he's been a massive target for Dak because, to be honest, the offense has a lot of guys all over. You have Jake Ferguson at tight end, but you have Tony Pollard out of the backfield. You have Brandon Cooks. You have other guys that can step up and make plays, and CD has always been very reliable despite him also drawing double teams at certain points. I remember hearing at the beginning of the year that Jerry Jones was not too fixated on getting CeeDee Lamb that involved, and he was actually kind of more focused on tight end play. And assuming that report was true, I remember being very confused reading it because it was kind of like, why would you not try and get your wide receiver 1 more involved? Because this guy is still pretty young and still developing, and is really only getting better. And I think once they made that a focus, they just kind of took off. I think Dak's been more confident. He hasn't turned the ball over, and I think CeeDee's really proven that he can be one of the best wide receiver ones in the entire NFL, and definitely on his team. And so, like I said, there are a lot of guys you can highlight on that offense, but I do want to move over to the defense because, again, this defense is just as good, if not better, than the offense. And in fact, according to Fox Sports, as of right now, the Cowboys are the third-ranked defense in the entire NFL, behind only the Ravens and the Browns, and they've only allowed 22 touchdowns all year long, which is very, very impressive, and especially because of how that secondary is playing. To me, and I said this in the offseason as well, I was very surprised the Cowboys signing Stephon Gilmore was not talked about a bit more, because Stephon Gilmore still has some pretty good ball left in him. And even though he was in Indianapolis and they weren't the best, he still played pretty well. And so, you bring him in, and I thought it would have a pretty positive impact, but I wasn't expecting just how positive it would actually have. And the crazy thing is that they don't have Trayvon Diggs. He's been hurt for quite a few weeks now, and at that point, I think it was very deflating to Cowboys fans because he's like arguably one of the better guys in your entire defense. But he goes down. You have Gilmore being able to step up, and you also have DaRon Bland, and I want to focus on him because I could not do a Cowboys video at this point in the year and not mention this guy. In case you guys are just kind of living under a rock or didn't hear about this, DaRon Bland did break the NFL pick six record for a single season. I believe he now has, I think, 6 or maybe a 7. I guess I live under a rock now too. I can't even remember. But either way, Bland has him playing incredible. And I think the biggest thing, like I just mentioned, is that they also don't have Trayvon Diggs yet. We really haven't seen that secondary at its full strength. So when you have guys like Bland and Jaron Kearse in the secondary and Stephon Gilmore, and I know I'm forgetting one more person, I just cannot think of who it is. I was trying to think of Malik Hooker, but when you have guys like that in your secondary, I had to check, I'm not going to lie. When you have guys like that in your secondary, I mean, it's just truly unbelievable just how well this team has performed when it comes all together. So in my opinion, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be even better with Diggs in there. But right now, they've meshed really well together. Guys have stepped up, and it's just been incredibly impressive. So shout out to DaRon Bland for really stepping up and not only filling the shoes of Trayvon Diggs, but breaking an NFL defensive record. I mean, the guy even had people putting bets on him to score a touchdown in a game as a cornerback, and also helped cash some of those bets because he's actually able to pull it off. And then finally, for that defense, you can't just make a Cowboys video and talk about the defense without at least mentioning Micah Parsons, who I believe has 11.5 sacks on the year right now. And I think he's also missed a couple games or hasn't played fully healthy a couple times as well. So he's having a great year as well. And it's just truly incredible how good this Cowboys team is. And with that said, I am currently filming this before they play on Thursday night against the Seahawks. So I really apologize to any Cowboys fans if I completely jinx the rest of your season by making this video or just losing the game tonight. So my bad if that happens, but I felt the need to really get this video out because whenever I do videos on teams where I kind of focus on the whole thing, I do want to try and cover a lot of things as far as like postseason implications as well. And I do want to mention just real quick, as far as that goes, I am going to, I'm going to give Dak like I guess my vote of confidence per se. I'm trying to think how to say it, but like in years past and even going into this year, I said that I was not fully confident in him because he hasn't lived up to the moment sometimes. But right now, the way Dak is playing, the Cowboys are serious Super Bowl contenders. And honestly, I'm very interested to see where they go in this NFC playoff race because you have a lot of really good teams in there. It's not as stacked as the AFC with like a lot of teams that are really good, but there are probably like 4 to 5 teams that are all fairly similar that should make it a really exciting postseason, like the 49ers, like the Eagles, hopefully like the Lions as well, known in the NFC South because they should all just be banished to the XFL. But yeah, the Cowboys are really good. That was the point of this video. If you guys did enjoy or like this kind of new format, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more NFL videos just like this. I'm going to continue to do these, assuming you guys actually like it. If not, I'm still doing my week picks, my power rankings, my player rankings. I think I already said that. Whatever, but you guys get it. NFL content always on the channel. Also my Madden content as well. We do gameplays, pack openings, no money spent series, all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys for watching. I do really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.